of the 2030 term extension and the mutilation of the Constitution. Yesterday, at an event that was organized by ZANU-PF to crash that event to try and actually send a message regarding the mutilation of the Constitution, and made the claims that we have always known, coming from him and those who are supporting Emmerson Mnangagwa. This time around, he says 2013 Constitution was as a result of marriage of convenience between MTC and ZANU-PF, and as such, it does not work for them at the moment. That is why they decided to change the Constitution. Now, if you are looking at what has been said by Blessed Geza, at what has been said, in fact, by Daniel Gaárwe, he is simply saying we deceived the nation by going around campaigning in Zimbabwe that we were only after extending the term of office for Emmerson Mnangagwa, but the reality is that we are changing the entire Constitution. That is what exactly Daniel Gaárwe is saying. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So let's listen to the audio of Daniel Gaárwe making these remarks.
Amendment number 2 was a marriage of convenience between ZANU-PF and MDC. And in a marriage of convenience, I don't know whether you guys have been in a marriage of convenience before. I have been myself, not in terms of women, but in terms of the life that I've lived in the business. You have a business partner whose belief systems are at odds with your belief system. That business will not grow. Amendment number 2013 was driven on the realities that were taking place in the communities during that time. And the realities was politics. We must go for an election. We must have elections. Chiefs must not participate in the political issues, and many others. And this was being driven by the opposition parties. Why? Because they knew that the strength and the power of ZANU-PF lies in the shoulders of our traditional leaders. But it was a compromise. So ZANU-PF and the person who was leading the constitutional processes was none other than now His Excellency President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. So there was a bit of compromise. Now we said, look, we've gone through a full cycle of evolving. The political situation is evolved. There is no political party other than ZANU-PF to talk about meaningfully in this country. We cannot continue moving forward with that type of constitution. Hence, the amendment number 3 of the same constitution. So that it now speaks to the realities on the ground. The realities on the ground are not political and electioneering. The realities on the ground are about development from Transitional Stabilization Program to National Development Strategy 1 and National Development Strategy 2. Development and development and development.
So Daniel Gaárwe is actually contradicting himself, especially if you listened to him very, very well. He says the Constitution of 2013 Amendment number 2 was a marriage of inconvenience because it actually said the chiefs should not participate in politics. So, and he says chiefs have always been a backbone of ZANU-PF. As such, that was not working for them. Then in linking that with development, I failed to understand him. How does you link changing the constitution to say the chiefs should join ZANU-PF, not somehow electioneering or in fact politicking in simple terms? How does that then becomes a development? The fact that you are saying the chiefs should actively participate in politics. And we know that the chiefs who actively participate in politics and join opposition political party, ZANU-PF goes after them. It even strips them chieftainship. All the chiefs would be forced because of the peanut salaries, or not even salaries, peanut allowances that they are given by ZANU-PF, and the vehicles, and obviously the cell phones that Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa gives them to be loyal to ZANU-PF. Now, okay, how does I want to ask myself one thing. Maybe I would understand them saying extending the term of office with 2 years maybe is buying time to do more development. Maybe one may say, okay, it makes nonsensical sense a little bit, but how does changing the constitution to say the chiefs should participate in politics now makes you to develop the country? How does that on its own brings development in a nation? It's actually mind-boggling question. Why, why ZANU-PF would love to say the chiefs participate in politics. In fact, if we are to look at all the changes that they are making, they are all about how then does changing the constitution to say the military should not uphold the constitution of Zimbabwe, but how does that complement development? How is the military upholding the constitution not going to encourage development in country if only it's in the interest of actually stopping a potential coup, because you used that same clause to justify the coup that you came through to political power with? How does that all bring development to actually? How does also saying, okay, we should stop making judges interview to be actually public? Judges should not be interviewed whilst airing that publicly, being watched by the people of Zimbabwe. How does that bring development? These idiots should not think that the Zimbabweans are fools. Zimbabweans are very, very educated. They have spoken, in the constitution, nothing that they want to change actually complements development. If there is anything, what they are introducing, the acts that Mnangagwa have actually introduced and signed into law, they are actually pushing businesses out of Zimbabwe. Because what that constitutional change seeks to achieve, it is to strengthen the power, to give powers to Mnangagwa to control every aspect of Zimbabwe, the economy and everything. There is absolutely nothing that they have changed within the constitution that will bring development. Then, if Barakashis of ZANU-PF are here, tell me, explain how changing actually the clause that the military should uphold the constitution. How does that promote development? Explain also to me, how does saying chiefs should actively participate in politics promote developments? If someone can actually, there is absolutely nothing that they have to convince the people of Zimbabwe about the current political changes they are making, except to just waffle, especially for the likes of Daniel Gaárwe. He is just waffling. The man is bad news. He's not even good at running the PR of Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. Here giving the reasons of resolution number 1.
So that these guys are given, or our chiefs are given extra tips to practice what they are supposed to practice in their areas of jurisdiction. This is the first code. They are found in the judiciary, and they are found also in the legislature. We've got chiefs that are senators. So the amendment of the constitution is not, or was not, a wish list by a group of people. It's a party position. The party, which is ZANU-PF, which came out with the resolution number 1, among all other resolutions, resolution number 1, which said please implement. He did not say direct amend the constitution, he said implement. For us to be able to implement, we are naturally bound to amend the constitution.
Okay, still here he is still waffling. Now, if you continue, he continued raising a lot of issues that does not make sense at all. It doesn't make sense at all what Gaárwe was saying. Let's listen to him here. No, here he's not speaking. Anyway, everything that he actually raised, that resolution number 1, the constitutional changes, go and look at the changes that Ziambi is actually proposing. None of the changes speaks to development. As a development studies student, none of the changes that Mnangagwa is making in the constitution, whereas when it comes to this subject, I know there is absolutely nothing that has been changed on. I mean, they are seeking to change on the constitution that will translate to development. Now, chiefs are traditional leaders. They are supposed to embrace everybody in a constituency, to be non-partisan. Just imagine I am an opposition leader and I have my chief and I am supposed to take my case of politics, because he also gave an explanation that they are also judiciary leaders. Now, if they are judiciary leaders in our respective communities, someone steal my cow, I go to it's a ZANU-PF member who steal my cow, or there is political violence, a ZANU-PF member came and burnt my house down. Will that chief actually rule in favor of me as an opposition if he is part of ZANU-PF? That is why chiefs in the 2013 constitution, the people of Zimbabwe, and who overwhelmingly voted for the 2013 amendment number 2 constitution, raised these aspects. They realized that a chief who joins a political party cannot actually preside properly in his judiciary role. A chief should never be partisan, because all his subjects, irregardless of a political party they are part of, they are going to be approaching that chief to seek a judiciary remedy. Now, that kind of a chief, is he properly capacitated to deal with such circumstances if he joins politics? If he's a ZANU-PF people, can he actually issue a credible judgment on that matter? There is absolutely no way. Why Zimbabweans protected chiefs from joining politics? Because they are judiciary heads in their respective communities. They deal with complex legal matters. And in order for them to act in the interest of justice, particularly to complex political cases that may be brought in their judicial role, they have to be actually apolitical. They don't have to belong to a certain political party. I'm just making an example. A chief is a member of an opposition political party. Then a ZANU-PF person comes complaining about a member of an opposition political party. Will that chief be free, be credible in terms of, in fact, presiding over that traditional judiciary system? That chief would be incapacitated. That the people of Zimbabwe had this wisdom, and they realize how ZANU-PF chiefs are compromised to deal with complex legal matters brought before them by the members of the community. That is why Zimbabweans in their numbers proposed that the chiefs should stay out of politics. All traditional leaders should stay out of politics. ZANU-PF is bringing them back to politics. What does that simply mean? It simply means their judiciary processes would be compromised. and development-wise, in terms of developing the judiciary system, it will remain compromised. How does then that complement the development that is in the interest of the people of Zimbabwe? It means that also the rights of the people of Zimbabwe cannot be guaranteed by the judiciary processes of the chiefs, because they are compromised. Similarly to actually shutting out Zimbabweans from watching the judiciary officers being, people wants to be judiciary officers, being interviewed and getting them whether they qualify for those jobs. One thing for sure, that one was at least strengthening the integrity of the judiciary system of Zimbabwe. People, when they are taking their matters to a judicial officer, they would know that he passed through a transparent process and he actually we was selected in that process through meritocracy. And as such, you know what ZANU-PF is simply avoiding through making that process actually free and be watched by people. They know that their candidates who poorly performed can be outsmarted by potential judiciary officers who are actually neutral, who wants to join the judiciary system to complement it rather than to make it an institution that serves narrow interest of ZANU-PF. It is for that sole purpose. Mnangagwa saw that his candidates whom he eventually appointed were performing poorly publicly, and that is why he is abolishing this. He realized that lawyers for ED were very, very compromised lawyers who could not perform, who doesn't understand law. That is why they want to use political jacket to actually get the job. They know that competing with fellow legal minds in Zimbabwe who are apolitical, they cannot make it. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. Okanqubo Mhlabane is signing out. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast.